there's something in the air. What is it? Well, as you know, Apple makes the best notebooks on the planet. The MacBook and the MacBook Pro. These are the standards in the industry by which competitive products are judged. Well, today, we're introducing a third kind of notebook. It's called the MacBook Air. Now, what is the MacBook Air? In a sentence, it's the world's thinnest notebook. So, what does that mean? Well, we went out and looked at all the thin notebooks out there. Most people think of these, the Sony TZ series. They're good notebooks, and they're thin. Right? This is what they look like. Side view there. We looked at all of them out there and kind of tried to distill the best of the breed of all of them. And, you know, they generally weigh about 3 pounds. They're, in this case, in the Sony's case, they're about 0.8 inches to 1.2 inches thin. They're a wedge shape. This is quite representative. They compromise, though, to get the weight down on things like the display. They have an 11 or 12-inch display, most of them an 11. They also compromise on the keyboard. Instead of putting full-size keyboards in, they make miniature keyboards. And they don't run them as fast as they could because their thermal envelopes don't support faster processors. So we looked at this and we said, what do we like and what do we think is a compromise here? We think the weight's a good target, 3 pounds. But we think there's too much compromising to get there. Too much compromising on thickness, too much compromising on less than a full-size display, less than a full-size keyboard, and we think you could put even more performance in one of these products. So, let's take a look at the thinness first. This is that Sony product. Again, one of the best in the field. 1.2 inches down to 0.8 inches. This is the MacBook Air. .76 inches down to an unprecedented 0.16 inches. Now I want to point something out here. The thickest part of the MacBook Air is still thinner than the thinnest part of the TZ series. Okay? We're talking thin here. So, it's so thin, it even fits inside one of these envelopes that we've all seen floating around the office. And so let me go ahead and show it to you now. This is it. Let me take it out here. This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. amazing product here. Full-size keyboard, full-size display. And this is what it looks like. Isn't that amazing? So, let's go explore this in more detail. So again, it fits inside one of these envelopes. It's that small. This is what it looks like. Isn't that incredible? It's the world's thinnest notebook. You open it up. It's got a magnetic latch, so there's no hooks or things to catch on your clothing. And it's got a full-size 13.3-inch widescreen display. And the display is gorgeous. It's an LED backlit display. And not only does that save power, and not only does that give a really bright display, but it's instant on the minute you open it. On top of the display is a built-in iSight camera for video conferencing right out of the box. And you flip it down, there is a full-size keyboard. This is perhaps the best notebook keyboard we've ever shipped. It's a phenomenal keyboard, and it's full-sized. And with the ambient light sensor, it's also backlit. We've got a very generous trackpad, which is great. We've also built in multi-touch gesture support. Now, as you know, our current notebooks have some gestures built in. We've taken that even further. When you go to Preferences in the MacBook Air, you'll actually get to turn on all sorts of other types of gestures, and there's actually videos in there to show you what they are. So let me run through them with you now. You can double tap, and instead of moving the cursor around, you can move a whole window around, right? Just a nice time saver. So that's great. Here's another one. When you're in a photo, a large photo, you want to pan around. You can pan around with just two fingers like this. Another nice time saver. You want to rotate a photo. This works in iPhoto and all the other photo apps. Just rotate like this. Again, we've taken some of these things we learned in the iPhone, and now we're putting them in our notebook computers. Here's another one. If you want to go between photographs, next photo, just take 3 fingers and pan right. Previous photo, pan left. And you want to zoom, you can pinch in and out. All right? Isn't that great? So, multi-touch gestures. Pretty amazing. And again, you can see how beautiful and thin this product is. Now, how did we fit a Mac in here? How did we do it? I'm still stunned that our engineering team could pull this off. Well, let's look at the bottom. Take off the bottom, and there's 3 things in here. It's a battery, hard disk, and the electronics. On the hard disk, we went to 1.8-inch hard drives. We've shipped tens of millions of these in iPods. We know them well, and they're great. And so the MacBook Air ships with an 80 gigabyte hard disk as standard, and there's an option of a 64 gigabyte solid state disk if you'd like it. These are a little pricey, but they are fast. But the real magic is in the electronics. This is a complete Mac on a board. Let's take off the cooling system. That's a complete Mac on this board. Now you can think, well, okay, what's so special about that? Well, this is how big the board is. It's really tiny. And to fit an entire Mac on this thing was an amazing feat of engineering. And we didn't compromise on performance. MacBook Air uses the Intel Core 2 Duo. This is a really speedy processor. It's what we use in all of our other notebooks and our iMacs. 1.6 gigahertz standard, and there's an option to go to 1.8 gigahertz if you want. Now, we've got a great relationship with Intel. And both companies are engineering driven, and they both love to challenge each other. And Intel's got enormous amounts of technology. And so when we were building this product, we asked them to consider something. This is their amazing Core 2 Duo chip, right? It's a screamer. We said we want that chip in this product, but we need to go to smaller packaging. The same die on a smaller package. It sounds easy, it's not. They spent a lot of, invested a lot of engineering to create this for us. This is the same chip in a package that is 60% smaller. And it's one of the reasons we could build MacBook Air. And so I'd like to say thank you to Intel. And it's my pleasure to invite the CEO of Intel, Paul Otellini, on stage. I'd like to give him a round of applause.
Hi, Steve. Pleasure. You know, Steve, about a year ago, you challenged us to try and get the world's best microprocessor into this impossibly thin machine. I brought one with us today. When we started this project, we didn't think it was possible. The product that we ended up building for you is about the width of a dime. It's as thick as a nickel. It has 400 million really fast, really power efficient transistors on it, and it's state of the art. And I think just working with you and your team to produce these wonderful devices has been a challenge. There are times when we sweated over it, but at the end of the day, we did what we do best together, which is innovate.
Yep.
And I want to thank you and your team for allowing us the opportunity to innovate with you.
Well, thank you.
Let me give you this as a souvenir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Woo! This is awesome technology. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Intel. So, that's the electronics. That's how we fit a Mac inside the world's thinnest notebook. So let's take a look at some of the other features. On one of the sides, we've got a MagSafe connector. We've got a smaller 45-watt power adapter that also comes with the MacBook Air. On the other side, we've got a flip-down door that exposes USB 2 port, a micro DVI connector with digital and analog video, and a headphone jack. And maybe most importantly, we've built in the most advanced wireless networking technology, 802.11n, right into MacBook Air, along with Bluetooth 2.1 plus EDR. So the latest and greatest in wireless technology. The MacBook Air was built to be a wireless machine. Now, no matter how hard you look, one thing you're not going to find in a MacBook Air is an optical drive. If you really want one, we've built one. You can buy this accessory that was made for the MacBook Air. It's powered off the USB port of the MacBook Air, and it costs just $99, and it's very compact. You can take it with you wherever you go with your MacBook Air. But you know what? We don't think most users are going to miss the optical drive. We don't think they're going to need an optical drive. Because again, the MacBook Air was built to be a wireless machine. So what do we normally do with optical drives? We play movies, right? We install software, we make backups, and we burn music CDs sometimes, for our cars usually. Well, guess what? We have a much better way to get movies onto our computers now. We can wirelessly rent them from iTunes Movie Rentals right on our MacBook Air. We have a much better way than burning CDs for our car. Most of us have iPods in our cars now. For making backups, we now have Time Machine and Time Capsule to wirelessly back up our notebooks. What about installing software? Well, we're going to do that wirelessly too. We've innovated in a way only Apple can to give a comprehensive solution to this problem. We have a new feature on MacBook Air built right into the operating system called Remote Disk. And so when you go to the Finder in MacBook Air, you will see in the left-hand column something called Remote Disk. And Remote Disk, when you click on it, will show you all those Macs or PCs in your vicinity that have some special software loaded on them that comes on the disk of MacBook Air, Mac version and a Windows version. And you can pick one of those machines and ask to borrow its optical drive. And when you do, that machine will get a request. They can accept it. That's what it looks like on Windows. And so once they've accepted it, you see what's in their optical drive. And you have Mac installer disks inside a Windows PC. A PC can read a Mac disk with this special software and send it wirelessly over to your MacBook Air. And you click on it, and it's just as if you had a local optical drive. And you can install your software. It's amazing. So, Remote Disk, that's how we're going to install software, wirelessly. We go from this to this. And we don't think users are going to miss that. So MacBook Air, this amazing notebook. We also didn't want to compromise on battery life. And so MacBook Air, when you're doing email, you're browsing the web, wireless networking's turned on, 5 hours of battery life in that tiny little portable. A lot of the other ultra-thin notebooks get an hour and a half of battery life. This is phenomenal battery life without having to put a big, giant external battery on it like some of them do. So, what are the features? 3 pounds. An unprecedented 0.16 to 0.76 inch thickness. A 13.3-inch full-size display. A full-size keyboard. A backlit keyboard. multi-touch gestures on a very spacious trackpad, EyeSight camera built in for out-of-the-box video conferencing and horsing around with photo booth. 1.6 gigahertz Core 2 Duo as standard, 2 gigabytes of memory standard, an 80 gig hard drive standard, with an option to go to a 64 gigabyte solid state drive, 802.11n Wi-Fi standard, Bluetooth 2.1 EDR standard, and of course our MagSafe connector. And all of these features and more in the thinnest notebook in the world. And we are pricing this notebook at just $17.99. And we commence shipping MacBook Airs in just 2 weeks. We're starting to take orders today. Pre-order on the online store if you'd like. We'll be shipping in 2 weeks. So, this is what the shipping box looks like. So the thinnest notebook in the world, it's just amazing. And we made an ad that we're going to start running. If you'd like, I'll show it to you. You want to see it? Okay, let's go ahead and run the ad. So, MacBook Air. I wanted to cover one other side of MacBook Air. We're going to do this for our major product introductions going forward. That is some of the progress we've made towards our environmental initiatives on these products. So there's a few things we've done. Number one, the MacBook Air is enclosed in a fully aluminum case, which is fully recyclable. Matter of fact, it's a highly desirable material by recyclers. They love aluminum. The whole case is aluminum, which is great. MacBook Air has our first display that is both mercury-free and also uses arsenic-free glass. This is a milestone for us, and we're very happy about this. All of the Apple-designed circuit boards, which are the vast majority of circuit boards in the unit, are bromide flame retardant free and PVC free. So we're very happy about that as well. That's a first for us as well. And the retail packaging is 50% less volume than our previously smallest packaging, which was the MacBook. This helps a great deal in energy expended transporting the products and with obviously disposing of the packaging materials. So we're very happy about that too. We continue to make progress on all of these environmental fronts, and we'll keep you posted, but they all add up to something in the end, and we're very conscious of this. So thank you for that. So MacBook Air, the thinnest notebook in the world. And it joins our other two great notebook families, the MacBook and the MacBook Pro, the best notebooks in the industry.